Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the Occupy Hollywood Network with your host, Jacob Erie. Me, right? We are here again with another movie review because why not? And I like talking about these movies. So this movie, right? Sometimes I see people make movies, whether at festivals, the indie circuit, online, minor studios, big studios, whatever, international front. I always think to myself, why would you ever make a movie that people have already seen before? You know what I mean? Just hear me out, right? Sometimes I think to myself, would I ever make a war movie? And I'm and me being someone who likes fiction, right? I would never try to make a movie that felt forced or I thought it was a chore. I would try to make a movie that, most of the movie ideas and the things I want to make are, they're visionary, they're aspirational, there's things I really care about in it. But that doesn't mean I make movies only the things that I want to see, because I'm really into fiction and not really into nonfiction or history, that doesn't mean I shouldn't try to make one of those kind of things. That being said, Osmosis Jones is kind of a good example and the epitome of really thinking outside the box, right? There's two different fronts I kind of commonly see when people are trying to make these movies or TV shows or whatever, primarily movies. There's on the one side of the spectrum, there's people who are always trying to push the envelope. You see this with Disney and Marvel, they're always trying to outdo themselves. And some filmmakers are guilty of this too. And then there's people who just want to make the most uninspired, unintellectual, most non-intellectual, I'm saying this wrong, thing ever. And obviously there's camps for both, things are very thought-provoking and things are very generic. But I think Osmosis Jones is it's a hybrid movie, which is Space Jam, Lynch is Back in Action, Roger Rabbit, but in a very unconventional way, because it's the animated world and the human world, the IRL world, they don't interact in the same way that they would in Space Jam. They're very separated, but they work in tandem with each other. Bill Murray, who isn't really the main character, but he kind of is. He's the pseudo main character. Really, it's Chris Rock who's the main character, and then the guy who plays the Big Pill. What's the main his comrade's name? It's Chris Rock and then Lawrence Fishburne, right? Very talented guys. And Osmosis Jones, even though it's in the human immune system and the human body, the world is so cool. I kind of just think to myself, when you're watching this movie, you're thinking to yourself, where do these people sleep? Where do they get their food? How does where do they go when for vacation or something like that, because it seems that their whole society has a lot of the same ideas, sentiments, routines as the human society in this movie. What do I really like about this movie? What's one of my favorite moments? I think I really just every time it just has those wide shots of the atmosphere and the surroundings. I really like those. I think the character designs are really cool. I think that's probably one of the best things that it has going for it. I think that what else is there? I think that this movie is also very, like, it has a sense of like realism to it, even though it's like trying to like have this like almost not satirical. What's the right word? It's like this like metaphorical way of like how the human body is working with the sick man who is played by Bill Murray. And it's just really clever. I think it's a really clever and neat movie. Now, when it comes to, well, also the voice acting is really great. I mean, even the regular humans, like, they're all doing a really, really good job. This movie, honestly, here's the thing. I'm not gonna take this idea, but I'm gonna give someone this movie idea, okay? Now, this movie idea, please credit me this movie idea, but this idea just barely came to my mind. Should I present it as a movie idea, or maybe I should just present it as like, no, this is what I do. Now, scrap the whole movie idea thing. So, Osmosis Jones is another example. I said this in the Secret Life of Walter Mitty movie review, that if you really play your cards right as a filmmaker or as a creative, you can really come up with something really neat. Because this isn't like something that's like as glamorous as like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Harry Potter, but it definitely is something that has the potential to make a lot of money. I'm gonna look up the budget. How much money did Osmosis Jones make? And how much was it made for? So Osmosis Jones was made for $70 million. Oh, really? And the box office was $14 million. Wow. I thought that would have been the other way around. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it needed to be made for $70 million. That had to been, a lot of money had to been given to like the leads and actors, and then like outsourcing the VFX and animation to people. But if you really think about it, this movie would have been really, really cool to see if like it had absolutely no names to it and it was just this. Like, replace Bill Murray with like just some obscure whoever actor nobody's ever heard of, and then the voice acting of like all these other characters, and you still would have gotten the same results. I think you could have made this movie for cheaper and still it would have been the same. But for $14 million, that had to have been like because of like the marketing, no? I don't know. I'm usually really good at reading the room when it comes to like how people feel about different things in pop culture. But the one thing I don't think I've gotten a good read on is how people feel about hybrid movies. Because I know people like Space Jam, but I don't know how people feel about Roger Rabbit, or like the overall consensus. And I don't know how people feel about Looney Tunes Back in Action. And I don't even know how people feel about Osmosis Jones. These hybrid movies, I feel like there should be more of them. But maybe this is just me because of the type of person I am, because I would definitely like to see more movies like that. But I definitely can't say that for everybody. But I don't know. And so, when I think of Osmosis Jones, I think the animation is really cool, because it almost has that aesthetic where it's like, if any of you guys have ever seen Anastasia, which is an animated movie, and then if you ever seen like what's that other movie? Is it Brother Bear? I think Brother Bear kind of has that same animation. but like it kind of has those same animation styles. I just think the frames per second are different. I don't know what the frames would be, but either way, because it seems like in Osmosis Jones things move a little bit more smooth and fluid and slow, versus like, I mean, Brother Bear and Anastasia still do that same thing, but I think the animation style that was chosen was really cool, because I can only imagine what this movie would have been if it was like chosen to be like 3D animated, or even like on the level of like Studio Ghibli, or even on an anime. But I think this movie, can I say it's underrated? No, I don't think I could say it's underrated, but I do think it's a really good movie. What is good? Quote unquote good. I'm like holding my fingers up. I don't think it's better than Space Jam. I don't think it's better than Looney Tunes Back in Action. Is it better than Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Honestly, no. But I do think it's still something worth watching. And I think it's a good time for sure. So I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10, which isn't bad. Remember, I know people hear 6 out of 10 and they think, oh, because it's not like 9 or 7 or 10 that it's like bad. No, if I gave it a 2 out of 10, that would be saying something that is like bad. But like 6 out of 10, 6 points out of the 10. And so Osmosis Jones is a movie that could have done, well, what could have it done better? You know, it's not, I don't even think it's particularly that something it could have done better. I just think it's just something that people don't necessarily gravitate towards. Because not all people gravitate towards the same things. Like even if it was like a Western or a horror movie, there's some things that are just as niche, or they're just inherently niche things. But that's not saying that's all these things, because obviously Space Jam is a very well-received thing. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for Osmosis Jones. Please subscribe to the Occupy Hollywood Network. We got a lot more good stuff coming.